Okay, let's talk about a couple of different types of building materials here while we're at it there. Now we got dimensional lumber. Dimensional lumber is actually one piece. That's one beam. It's not glued together. It's not anything like that. But some people, not everybody, but some people don't realize that each one of those rings is a year's worth of growth. Okay, so you can count backwards or outwards and see how big that piece of material was when they actually milled it down. So this would be a 4 by 6. It's not really a 4 by 6. It's a 3.5 by 5.5, but who's counting? Back in the day when lumber was cheap, it used to be a 4 by 6. So that's a beam. That's a standard beam. They'll use it for spanning short distances, carrying loads, if you will. Plywood, again, glued together. We just got done talking about glued. Everything's put together with glue. I've got a really good example of something like that right here. And take a look at that. And each one of those layers is a very thin piece of plywood glued to the other. There's nothing holding it together other than glue. Now that beam will carry a huge amount of load, and they'll span this thing. They can make this thing 40, 50 feet long. It doesn't really matter. Good solid piece of wood, but it's put together with glue. Glue burns. Okay. This is a pretty cool looking little glue lamb, and the reason they're making these, you can see the different layers of wood. At the very ends, they have these little micro lamb things. I'm trying to talk so you guys can hear. They got these little micro lamb ends on it, and then they got individual pieces of 2x in between, all glued together. The reason they make this, they don't have any great big lumber like we used to have in the old days, the 5-foot diameter trees. We don't have that anymore. So they can't cut these out of one piece of wood. So they use lots of little pieces of wood. They make these things all milled together, and then they go ahead and they glue them all together. And when they run out of a line, they go ahead and finger join it together and keep on gluing. So that's how they end up with the beams nowadays. Almost everything in your house is all put together with pieces, lots of little pieces. We do still have some dimensional, and again, we can look at that piece right here, and we can see that that's one solid piece of wood. And this is a 2 by 10. Sometimes they use that for floor joists, not that often. And your standard framing material is usually one piece. So they still have trees big enough that they can cut this stuff out of. Okay, that's a couple little things about building construction materials. Flat particle board, again, the underlayment, nothing but sawdust glued together. Most everything we got nowadays is all glued, every bit of it. So we got to watch out for that.